Good stuff.
Hello, JJ, and welcome, Mr. VWAP Trader 1, as we call him in the Micro E Futures and our Equities ETC trading room, Mr. Market Maker, to the first fireside chat that we are having with JJ. JJ, how you doing today?
Good, Steve. How you doing?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. And the whole reason why we're having what we call this fireside chat today is we want to discuss not only what happened with GameStop, stock symbol GME this week, which I know got a lot of attention, JJ, but we want to discuss from your market making experience, and you were a market maker on that side of the business for about 20 years, what exactly happened and how, and why that's important to retail traders. So, JJ, if you don't mind, maybe explain a little bit to our audience how a stock can go in one day. I believe it started at $30 all the way up to $90 and then back to $50. And when I say explain how, discuss short float interest, discuss percent institutionally held, discuss the agenda that these folks might have. So with that, I'm going to hand off to you and ask JJ, what the hell happened to GME and why should retail traders care?
Well, GME is the crime of the century. It is beautifully and artfully orchestrated. It's a company that I don't know anything about. It's something about video games. They're bankrupt, whatever. The thing is, the short percentage of the float is 260%, which means the float, which is the amount of stock available in the depository trust system, is 47 million shares, of which 71.2 of which are short. So the only time I've ever seen this usually happen is the last time I did it on purpose to hold up a stock at $30 for 3 months in order to get a financing, and I did it for some pretty scary people. So this also, if you look at the most important thing about this, is that it traded over $12 billion worth of worthless paper in one day. And considering, it traded 197 million shares on Friday and only 47 million exist, someone was selling some stock.
Now,
And if some,
JJ, can I ask a question that the retail traders might not know?
sure.
One, what exactly does short interest mean? And two, how could short interest be over 100%? How is that even possible?
Well, what you do is you restrict the amount of stock that's available in the system. You'll notice funds like BlackRock and Fidelity are shareholders in this. The stock that they own would be segregated and paid for in cash. So and they're also held with them and they're self-clearing. It's a little bit complicated, but it's all about the plumbing of the system. And what I would do is every time my friends would take a deal public, I would engineer a short position into the company so we could hold the stock up and not actually have to work that much to bring in buying. So this is actually beautifully done because what they did is they set up basically a nuclear bomb, and they got people short this. And good old Andrew from Citron was short and told a whole bunch of people to run in and short that. And what that does is we use that as leverage to take the stock higher in order to sell more at higher prices. And they did so beautifully on Friday. Whoever are the villains behind this, I must tip my hat. That is beautiful dollar volume. And the nice thing, go ahead.
No, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You mentioned they were selling worthless paper. Can you explain that?
Well, on companies like this, especially ones that are headed towards bankruptcy, somebody will keep them financed so the CEO can keep driving his leased Mercedes, because that's really what these companies do. They're basically employing people so they can live nice lifestyles off shareholder money. So what happens is people who fund these companies realize that the CEOs are idiots and are blowing money like poop through a goose. So what they do is they engineer cheap financings where they're always getting stock at a discount. So they basically have a printing press of stock. The short position is engineered using the depository trust as basically a pawn, because if you know the system, you can get around it. And then you use all of these things so you can sell basically $1 billion worth of toilet paper to retail investors. And they're doing a nice job of keeping the price up. Um, that the SEC or the FBI or any of those people aren't sniffing around, I just doesn't make any sense. But the nice thing about, I guess, the U.S. Laws are if you disclose and tell people that you're going to screw them in the filings, um, you're free and clear.
Well, JJ, now you just opened up a whole can of worms here. All right. Because we know Citron came out and recommended to short it. We know what happened with Citron, and they're getting all this hate emails and threats against their children.
Well,
And I'm not joking
you know,
about that.
no, no, no. Listen, hey,
From
listen.
from
Look,
from the, and I'll call it the Reddit crowd, right? The social
listen.
media.
Andrew's been around since the '90s. Sorry to interrupt. And
Go
I
ahead.
personally know people who have threatened to hold him, hang him off the top of a building. So, he's used to it.
So the question I have, all right, and is we know that folks shorted the stock, all right? I'm trying to
Mhm.
get an understanding for our audience here, how this stock went up and how they might have been played, all right? So we know folks were shorting, okay? We know that the Reddit social media crowd, the Robinhood traders, who, by the way, are in the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. So there's a lot of power behind them when they get behind a stock. And JJ, I'm going to ask that you explain why that is true in a second. So that's helping move the price up. You probably have folks getting short squeezed, the price is going up. But answer that question first before, because I have a ton of other questions I want to ask you.
Sure.
Okay. The Reddit crowd,
God
okay.
love him. God love him. I just
Do you discard them, or do you think that people should start paying
no,
attention to them?
no, no, no. I just no, no, no. Give them a cookie and let them keep buying, please. They're, you know what? We need liquidity in this market. Let them come. I love that all these new, these new traders are in this market. It's a beautiful thing because what they do is, if you have a deal, right, and they come into it, in the old days, it would be called the street would take it. The street, when the street takes your deal, you just get unlimited bids and just beautiful waves of buying coming in from these people who have to have it, right? It's like they're chasing the cocaine truck.
So
And it's a,
would you say someone's behind this, JJ? Meaning using
oh,
these social media traders, realizing that they're in the mass numbers, is someone behind that say, hey, let's let them do the pumping for us?
well, I mean, if you remember Silicon Investor and Raging Bull, we would pay guys to go post in there to, get people to suck people into buying. Come on. When there's this kind of money that's lying on the table, nothing happens by accident.
Interesting. Interesting. And thus the price goes up. Thus
Oh,
people get short squeezed. And which leads me to another question, JJ. If we feel, or the general public feels, that this stock is going to go down to zero, because really they have no business model, right? Okay.
true.
But let's say that that is a thesis that a lot of people feel. Why couldn't someone with a small account now, who's shorting this on leverage, JJ, just sit it out and wait?
Uh, well, the thing is, all you need to do, there's a very secretive website. Okay. You may have never heard of it. It's called Yahoo Finance. Go there, spend 2 seconds, and look at the statistics. When you see 260% of the float is short, that is not for amateurs to get into shorting, right? That's trying to go, that's like somebody who's never boxed getting in the ring with a young Mike Tyson. It's not going to end well,
Interesting,
right?
interesting. Now,
You know,
would they get risk of margin calls? I would assume too, correct?
well, what I used to do when I was suckering shorts, what I would do is I'd loan them the stock and then take the price up and call in the stock loans, right? And then if they can't deliver, I would go and buy them in. And when I go to buy them in, I would raise the offers to make them chase it. So yeah, you're gonna get hurt real bad, like Russell Peters' dad would say. It's just when you just take 2 seconds out of your life, use that little thing on top of your shoulders, that coconut. Go and look at the statistics at Yahoo. Yahoo's been around for a while, and immediately you'll see the float is 47 million shares. The short position is 71 million shares. Uh, if that doesn't tell you that markets are supply and demand. When there's no supply, all you got to do is breathe on the price to take it up. That's how I took a company that made glue out of sea coral from 30 cents to $300 because all of the supply was sitting in somebody's desk drawer. So you can just breathe on it and move the thing $20. Supply and demand. I know it's simple. I know we're not selling an indicator, and you don't need a degree in calculus, but it's supply and demand. When there's no supply, don't go short.
So, and at any time, JJ, right now, there's this heavily institutionally owned shares. I think it's 100% or more, if I'm correct.
It's
Now,
27%, and those institutions, they don't even remember that they bought it. It's just sitting in the
explain,
vault.
explain
Uh,
why.
because these places like BlackRock, Fidelity, those guys, they have so much money they have to put it to work. So they buy all sorts of dog poop companies, right? In one of them will run in 30 years. Their time frame is a 30-year hold. So they buy this stuff, they pay for it in cash. So you can't borrow against their stock. That's number one. Number two, that's in like a warehouse. It's collecting dust. And as soon as their compliance sees this thing trading the way they do, that would be on the restricted list of that firm for trading it. So they wouldn't even be touching it. They'll just wash their hands of it. They won't even sell it. They won't sell into this buying, right?
So explain that concept, JJ.
Oh,
Right, if no one's selling, meaning
yeah,
BlackRock, the other large institutional
yeah,
shareholders, if no one's selling this junk stock, it really doesn't matter if it's junk stock or not, right?
yeah. No, it doesn't matter.
If no one's selling it, what's going to happen?
If no one's
Price
selling
going
it,
up.
they will. They will just. The thing is, look at how they closed it. They closed it pretty decently, right? These guys know what they're doing. Look at the daily chart, right? If I look at that daily chart, those are like the charts that I used to build. And it's in the dollar volume is just beautiful. Someone is selling, but they're doing so artfully. How you do this, the art of the deal is, as Mr. Trump would say, is to sell, but not sell so much that the people get tired of buying it. You keep them coming for it, right? It's like a hot nightclub where they're standing in line, right? You just keep them coming and you just keep the ducks are quacking. You feed them, but you don't overfeed them. And they're doing a beautiful job. If nobody was selling at all, the stock would be $2,000 a share with the kind of volume that went into it.
Yeah,
But
there's an old poker terminology that says that you never kill a sheep, you just shear it slowly.
yeah,
Yeah, so you can keep coming back for more. Is that pretty much what you're saying? Because this did
just
not. You would think it had the opportunity to totally drop, right? Late on
no, no,
Friday after
no,
I
no,
believe
no,
it was the second hold, but it didn't, right?
no.
It's almost like,
It look, yeah,
go ahead.
exactly. If the SEC does not halt this thing for fraud, they will, or the FBI raid their offices, right? If everything has been declared in the SEC filings, if some fund says, look, we have a billion shares of this garbage sitting in an offshore account, and we are going to sell it when you buy it, we've disclosed it. There's nothing illegal about that. That's the business, right? The stock market is an exit strategy for people who take risk by investing in companies that are crap. This is a
Repeat that.
great
Repeat that and explain it. I think that's such a key point you just said.
The stock market is an exit strategy. That's why it's called exiting into the retail flow. We exit our investment into your buying. You are the exit. What you guys do with it afterwards, we'll play with it for a while and we'll hold it up just so you keep coming to buy it. But once we're out of our paper, it's good night, Irene,
And it will
right?
drop.
Unless some schmuck institution comes in and we can get some bank so long the thing that they can't sell it, right? Then, maybe the thing has a chance. And hopefully the CEO doesn't, put all the money up his nose and, rent too many Ferraris. Because the thing is with these companies, and that's why my clients were so rude in financing them at discounts, because as soon as you give a CEO $10 million, 3 months later, they're asking you for another two. Where did it go? Oh, well, expenses, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And it's funny, JJ, because we speak, you and I, in the micro e futures.com and the equities etc.com room. This is the site, so really they're one and the same. But JJ and I often speak about when we go into trades, we like to go into trades that we have an edge. For JJ uses market profile. He's one of the top experts in market profile, in my opinion. I use backtesting scans for my statistical edge, and sometimes JJ and I collaborate together on trades using the scans, using market profile. But the point, JJ, is we feel we have a statistical edge based on math in some of the trades that we enter, right? And
Exactly.
often you don't let me speak in the room because I tend to come down hard on individuals in our members, tough love, who
Well,
play these sort of junk stocks. So my
well,
question to you, JJ,
yeah.
this is a question. Everyone listening, I think, respects your experience as a 20-year market maker and everything you just shared on GME, which I thought was very educational. And it's like, man, this guy, JJ, does know how this stock moves and why. With that being said, JJ, can you predict, honestly, now be honest, can you predict what the stock is going to do on Monday?
I cannot.
And why not?
Anything can happen. The FBI could raid their offices on Sunday night. Anything can happen. I had a stock once that we were doing one of these squeezes on. I got it to $21. We had an institution out of Europe with 1 million shares on the bid at $21. The SEC halted it, and one of the main deal guys blew his brains out that night. Um, you know, it happens, and I could never predict. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, and obviously, JJ, I knew that was going to be your answer, meaning someone that has your expertise and background doesn't know where this stock can go on Monday because of the players involved, obviously, and the market manipulation that you explained. And it really isn't market manipulation, JJ, if it's legal, right? Isn't it more rules of engagement? I hear people all the time complain about
No,
the market makers are screwing
no,
me, but they're
no, no.
really not, right? It's
They have
so,
no clue what they're doing. It's a business. Market makers provide liquidity. They take an economic risk for doing so. They have to make money. The problem is people don't understand the business. They think market makers hold all the stock and all of this sort of thing. They don't know what a market maker is. They should understand the business that they're speculating in, or stick completely to chart-based trading, and be very, very strict with your risk management. It would help if you actually understood the underlying business. They sell you something when nobody else wants to, and they buy it back from you when nobody else wants to. Where they buy it and sell it, that's up to them, and that's how they make money. And you should know what happens when you go buy a stock. I have never correctly seen anybody tell me what a market maker does
hmm,
or can explain it to me. And that is why so many people fail retail trading, because in retail trading, you're not allowed to cheat. On the institutional side, we cheat all day, right? So you don't even know what we're doing. And you're out there, it's like people who look at level twos and think they know what's going on. We give you those tools so you think you know what you're doing so we can steal more from you. You have
yeah.
no clue.
Yeah, so understanding what the other end of the trade is doing to you,
Yeah,
whether it's cheating or not, is so needed, right? If you don't know you're being
exactly.
cheated and you're just blaming it on
Yeah,
those damn market makers, you're
yeah,
just going to continue. Yeah, sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll hit the run up on like a stock like
exactly.
GME and you think you're brilliant, but you're not brilliant. You just got lucky. But it's only
Exactly.
a matter of time before you become the sucker if you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
understand the business. And I
It's,
bring
yeah.
that up, JJ, for one reason is if you don't know what GMA is going to be doing on Monday, how the heck does a retail trader know
They
what
don't.
it's going to do? And if
Listen,
someone tells you they know what it's going to do, I
they're
suggest
full
you
of it.
run and you run fast because you're just gambling. Is that a correct statement?
Listen, I get paid between 150 to $200,000 a month to engineer these types of situations, plus free trading stock. Okay, so that's a fairly decent thing. I could work on something like that for. I turned one of those jobs down just recently. They offered me 150 grand a month, 1 million shares of stock, and free use of their private plane. And I turned it down because an idiot like me went and grew a conscience. So if I can't tell you what's going to happen, some schmuck on a message board, be careful.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't want to make this clip to be all marketing to get people in our rooms. Of course, we love people to come into the rooms that you teach at, JJ, to learn all of this. And you also trade side by side, and we collaborate together.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's really a great group that we have. But the point of all this is just to explain to people what happened to GME, why. And my next question, JJ, I guess we could wrap it up,
Yep.
is would a professional trader, I'm talking about a professional retail trader, right? Would they be playing these types of stocks, or would they be playing for stocks that they have a little bit better edge in?
People who do this for a living, if they want excitement, they'll go bungee jumping. They want to make money, right? This thing is an accident waiting to happen. And, anybody with serious money, they're not going to touch it. The only people who are trading it professionally are the ones who are selling you their stock that they got at probably 10 cents. And that's what's going on there. It's, there's so much better product to make your money. The stock market is about your money working for you. It's always easy to look at a chart after the fact and go, oh my god, I could have made so much money on that. But the risk you're taking and the emotions that you're going to undergo when you're trading something like GME, especially if you don't know what you're doing, it gets a lot of people, and that's how we get you.
Well, JJ, fantastic. I really like for us, if the audience likes these fireside chats, I really would love to do these weekly with you, where we can just take a topic that was very popular during a week and maybe just dissect it a little bit. Not so much a
Definitely.
strategy type video, but something short where you can help educate the general public from the other side of the trade,
Perfect.
what is going on. So I don't know if that's
Would
something
love
that the
to.
audience will like, or you even like. So,
I'd love to. Yeah.
all right. All right. Well, good
Stuff.
deal. Good
All
deal,
right.
JJ. I appreciate it. And if any of you do want to join JJ, microefutures.com. And JJ, what's your Twitter handle so they can follow you on Twitter?
On Twitter, I am VWAP Trader One.
All right. Fantastic. All right. Thanks, JJ. Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you. Have a
Thanks,
great day.
everyone.